Young Sheldon's original villain makes its unexpected comeback a couple of years after the Coopers were able to get rid of them. After a 2-week break due to March Madness, CBS premiere comedy is back with a brand new episode that inches Sheldon and his family's story closer to its end. Considering its success, Young Sheldon's end will result in a massive hole in the network's programming slate, especially since it has kept the Big Bang Theory universe alive and relevant. While Georgie and Mandy will keep the franchise growing, Sheldon's story will end when Young Sheldon wraps up. Like its parent series, Young Sheldon doesn't have any official bad guy. The family's dynamic, much like every clan, is already complicated that conflicts naturally arise without introducing any external players. That being said, through stories and patterns, it's easy to see which characters and entities typically wreak havoc in the Coopers' lives. George and Mary used to fight a lot, with their arguments in various levels of seriousness. Meanwhile, Sheldon's quirks and oddities tend to create disagreements. However, there's one player in Young Sheldon who has repeatedly created family issues, the church, and now, it is back. How Young Sheldon previously got rid of its villain. It was more like Young Sheldon's villain got rid of the Coopers. Mary and Pastor Jeff in Young Sheldon. As previously established, Pastor Jeff's church was Young Sheldon's overall villain. For years, the congregation was part of the family's life in Medford because of Mary's insistence that her family shared her religious beliefs, which wasn't uncommon around that time in Texas. That being said, it wasn't until the Coopers were kicked out of the congregation in the Young Sheldon Season 5 finale that it became clear just how big of an impact Pastor Jeff had on their family, which reached even those who didn't actively attend church like their matriarch did. Being part of a church gave Mary a community in earlier seasons of Young Sheldon. However, she regularly chose it and its teachings over almost everything else, creating issues at home. Despite her dedication to the church, however, she and her family were ruthlessly shunned away from it after word got out that Georgie and Mandy got unexpectedly pregnant. Initially, it took a toll on the family, but severing ties from the congregation made Mary more agreeable, something that both George and Mima noticed. She was able to fix her marriage and prioritize her family. The church returns as Young Sheldon Season 7 villain. Mary's negative tendencies are back because she has returned to Pastor Jeff's congregation. Zoe Perry as Mary and Reagan Reverd as Missy in Young Sheldon custom image by Anna Dumarog. A lot has already happened since Mary was pushed out of her church. Unfortunately, with her ties to the church re-established, her negative tendencies are also back. Surprisingly, it was George who helped Mary get back to the congregation, but he didn't realize that it would pull his wife back to her old ways. In the name of her religion, Mary brings back her self-righteous and judgmental characteristics in Young Sheldon Season 7, Episode 6, Baptists, Catholics and an Attempted Drowning. It starts when she pressures Mandy and Georgie into tying the knot, and it just escalates from there. It's worth noting that after getting kicked out by Pastor Jeff, Mary didn't seem to have any issues about Georgie and Mandy being together. Instead, they decided to get engaged on their own in the Young Sheldon Season 6 finale. So it's quite peculiar that she's suddenly peeved about the couple not being married. Worse, she even goes behind their backs to baptize baby Cece with the help of Pastor Jeff. Granted that Mandy's mom did the same, but it's unlikely that Mary would have been that brazen if she was still excluded from her congregation.